Good evening. Tonight, drama at the Lagos Judicial Panel of Inquiry proceedings as members are divided following ruling by the panel chairman approving the repossession of the Lekki Toll Plaza by LCC. World Health Organization clarifies decision removing Nigeria from list of countries to receive first shipment of the Pfizer vaccine to Africa. National leader of the APC, Chief Bola Tinubu, backs former APC national chairman on party's leadership and membership registration, says exercise is needless. And Myanmar's military ruler shut down country's internet as outrage grows over Monday's coup. Plus, you'll see business and sports. On business news tonight, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves records its first weekly drop in the year, dips by $104.79 million week to date.
And on sports news, Ollie Watkins' second-minute goal condemns Arsenal to a second Premier League defeat in 5 days.
It was drama today at the Lagos State Judicial Panel on restitution for victims of SARS and other related matters after it returned control of the Lekki Toll Gate to its owners, the Lekki Concession Company, LCC. The chairman of the panel, Justice Doris Akwobi, sitting with 4 other members of the panel, delivered the ruling after hearing arguments for and against an application brought by the LCC to repossess the toll gate. The counsel to the LCC, Demola Seriki, says repairs to damage done at the toll gate will last about 2 months. Our judiciary correspondent Shola Shirley reports.
The panel had listed 6 cases for hearing, and the Lekki Concession Company was right at the top of the list. This is what the Lekki toll gate looks like now, and the concession company has again brought an application to be allowed to repossess the toll, make claims for insurance, and carry out repairs so as to fully resume business.
The 2 sets of petitions.
5 members of the panel, led by the chairman, sat to hear arguments for and against this application.
My application is predicated on the fact that since the October 20th incident, all the principal actors, whether the Nigerian police or the Nigerian army, or even the protesters, have moved on with their daily living and businesses. We believe that Lekki Concession Company Limited is the only entity that has had its hands tied despite the huge financial loss it has suffered.
A counsel to about 16 NSAS protesters at Deshina Ogulano has objections to this application, but first he queries the composition of the panel.
I notice that the representatives of the youth are not here, because the last time we were guided by the Honorable Court, that was a reason for not sitting. I want to know whether the situation has changed, that the panel can go on regardless of whether quorum is formed or not.
This prompts a ruling from the chairman.
The panel has a timeline of 6 months to discharge its assignment. It was in view of their aforesaid considerations that the panel had to look into what the quorum ought to be. The panel has 5 members, and this is a majority of the membership of the panel. The rules of proceedings of the panel states in Rule 6, Sub-Rule 4, that a final decision on any matter shall be on a majority basis, with the chairperson's vote beating any tie.
Arguments opposing the application for the repossession of the toll gates then follows. Mr. Ogulano notes that lawyers appearing before the panel have not seen the report of the forensic examination carried out.
We urge the panel also to note that there are two outstanding things that link the report to the issue of the toll gate. One, the issue of the yet unpresented bullets extracted. The surgeon for Dinting had testified that they are in possession of bullets, only that he is not the one to talk about that. Okay, that's...
He never said so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He said he removed no bullet from the 6 patients he treated. That it was an entry and exit situation. Please don't mislead the panel.
Another counsel for some NSAS victims thinks it will be insensitive to allow LCC's application, a claim which is instantly countered by the counsel to the state government.
The reopening of the plaza, my lord, to commence operation and business on the blood of innocent citizens will be insensitive, my lord, and callous to the lives of those that were lost and maimed. As well, my lord, it will also be prejudicial and overreaching.
Why would it be insensitive, legally insensitive? Why would it be legally overreaching? There is no such submission before the panel. In the absence of any legal basis for that submission, I urge the panel to ignore it.
The panel chairman then gives a ruling.
The facts presented on the need to have insurance of LCC assess damages, renovate the plaza, and to resume its business in our considered view will not take the toll away, as it will always remain in that location and to which every member of the public have access. It is a thoroughfare which has been in use since the month of September 2020. To say that the wreckage should be preserved as evidence beats my imagination. Justice, I must say, is a double-edged sword, both for the petitioners and the LCC, a company which was unfortunate to have its place of business vandalized during public protest.
Channels Television also learnt that this ruling covers not only the Lekki toll gates, but also the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge toll gates. Shola Shoyele, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, members of the civil society and youth representatives on the panel have opposed the reopening of the Lekki toll gate, led by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ebolu Adegboruwa. The members, who were in the minority, say that there are still unanswered questions which the forensic examinations have yet to reveal. While the members tried to deliver their individual dissenting opinions, a shouting match ensued. Mr. Adegboruwa was prevented from delivering his opinion on the grounds that he had earlier sued the Lagos state government over the propriety of the toll. Other members of the panel, however, delivered their dissenting opinions.
What is of utmost importance to members of this panel is to ensure that there is a full and thorough investigation into the Lekki toll gate incident and ensure justice for all victims, and that any and everyone found culpable is identified and recommended for appropriate action under the law. We understand that from the forensic report submitted by the expert employed by the panel, LCC management has repeatedly, despite requests, failed to provide information, which includes access to servers, location of the CCTV equipment and mounted cameras, who ordered the extraction of the CCTV footage, date and time of the extraction from the CCTV, method used for the extraction, as well as other information which may be useful for purposes of forensic examination and report. None of this has been provided by LCC, and so it is impossible to conclude that investigations are over.
Also, the report they brought to us suggests so many issues that we need to address. There are footage missing. We have P5 and P9 missing. We have questions. We are not enemy of state. We understand that whatever goes on at LCC Tollgate is a collective commonwealth of every Lagosian, and which we are part of. All we are saying is step this down pending when we have a very conclusive and accurate investigation. That is our view. So all we are asking today is that LCC facilities should not be released back.
The panel remains one and is in no way divided in general terms on its mandate. However, the 4 members who absented themselves believe and hold firmly that this panel must convey its holistic and credible decisions on events and not its majority decisions only, particularly when it relates to a cardinal aspect of its mandate. We urge the entire proceedings and by consequence, the ruling ought to be set aside for want of quorum.
To other stories, the president is pledging Nigeria's full support for the new chairman of the African Union, President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo, who is replacing President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa after completing his one-year term. The new AU chairman was announced at the 34th Ordinary Summit of the African Union, which was attended virtually by presidents across the African continent, including President Muhammadu Buhari. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffrey Onyama, who gave details of President Buhari's speech at the summit to State House correspondents afterwards, also said that the president has restated his commitment as the ECOWAS COVID-19 champion to ensuring all Africans get the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as possible.
I would like at the outset to express our profound gratitude to my brother, President Cyril Ramaphosa, for the outstanding manner in which he has steered the affairs of our union during the last 1 year. I would also like to congratulate my brother, President Felix Tshisekedi, on his assumption to the chair of our union. We wish you a happy and successful tenure and assure you of Nigeria's unflinching support. Nigeria, therefore, welcomes the decision to establish the Coronavirus African Vaccine Acquisition Task Team to accelerate the financing and procurement of coronavirus vaccines for the continent. We continue to appreciate the remarkable progress by the team with respect to securing a provisional 270 million coronavirus vaccines doses for Africa, along with the African Medical Supplies Platform and other laudable initiatives already in place. I would like to stress that Nigeria is committed to working with other member states in the spirit of regional cooperation and solidarity to promote human health and general well-being. We will continue to partner with the World Health Organization, the African Center for Disease Control, and the West African Health Organization, as well as other countries, to ensure accelerated development and manufacturing, as well as unhindered supply of safe and effective coronavirus vaccines to all Africans.
As the battle against the deadly coronavirus continues, efforts are also on to counter the view held by some people that COVID-19 is a scam. The latest is coming from the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, which is appealing to Nigerians not to believe the view that the virus does not exist. After a meeting of its National Executive Council in Abuja, President of the association maintains that the virus is still very potent and adherence to the safety protocols remain the only surest way to stay safe for now. In part 2, after the break, we have more on the coronavirus pandemic, plus gunmen attacked Divisional Police Headquarters in Imo State, killed 2 officers and injured 3 others. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Drama at the Lagos Judicial Panel of Inquiry proceedings as members are divided following ruling by the panel chairman approving the repossession of the Lekki Toll Plaza by the LCC. World Health Organization clarifies decision removing Nigeria from list of countries to receive first shipment of the Pfizer vaccine to Africa. National leader of the APC, Chief Bola Tinubu, backs former APC national chairman on party's leadership and membership registration, says exercise is needless. And Myanmar's military ruler shut down the country's internet as outrage grows over Monday's coup. Staying with the coronavirus pandemic, the World Health Organization says it did not disqualify Nigeria from accessing the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, but the decision was reached following a short supply of the vaccine, fatality rate among member countries, and other factors considered by the selection committee. According to the country representative of the WHO, there is a limited supply of the Pfizer vaccine through COVAX, and the selection committee of the WHO has to prioritize where the limited doses would make more impact. Meanwhile, the executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaibu, insists that Nigeria would be receiving 16 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine instead of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine during the first quarter of this year. Both were speaking at a joint press conference in Abuja.
This joint news conference between the World Health Organization and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Abuja is to clarify why Nigeria will no longer receive the Pfizer vaccine during the first quarter of this year, but will instead be receiving 16 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The World Health Organization country representative debunks the news making the rounds that Nigeria is disqualified from receiving the Pfizer vaccine.
WHO has not disqualified any country in Africa from accessing COVID-19 vaccines through the COVAX facility, but rather is supporting all countries to access vaccine as quickly as possible.
Nigeria is among 13 African countries that applied for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, but only 4 out of these 13 countries, including South Africa, Cape Verde, Rwanda, and Tunisia, have been shortlisted by the World Health Organization to receive the Pfizer vaccine. Both the representative of the World Health Organization and the executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency explained the rationale behind the selection.
On the Africa continent, as of 18th of January deadline, COVAX receives 13 submissions, and the multi-agency committee evaluated the proposal, of which 9 were recommended as ready to deploy the Pfizer vaccine, including Nigeria. There were 18 that were recommended. They included Nigeria. Unfortunately, it was not feasible to provide each of these 51 countries with further doses due to a number of factors, including the limited capacity to handle many countries at once. It was a supply issue, first and foremost.
There were a number of factors that were considered in allocating the small quantity of about 320,000 doses of Pfizer vaccine to COVAX countries in Africa. These include the mortality rate from COVID-19, the number of new cases, the trend in the number of cases, the population of the countries, and the availability of appropriate cold chain equipment. It is clear that countries such as South Africa, which received the Pfizer allocation, have the new strain of the COVID-19 virus. It has the highest mortality rate and is struggling to contain COVID-19 transmission.
According to the federal government, Nigeria is now expecting to receive 16 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine through the COVAX facility by the end of February. The federal government insists that it has a cold chain system to keep the vaccines potent.
It appears that the prevalence of fake COVID-19 certificates may be the reason some airlines are imposing rapid tests on passengers prior to boarding. The chairman, Airline Passenger Joint Committee, Mr. Bankole Bernard, said it's time for the federal government to put in place measures to check the tide. Our aviation correspondent Bukola Jo-Ketumbi has more.
Inbound passengers make their way into this port of entry at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, which is Nigeria's premier gateway. Here, officials of Port Health go through the COVID-19 test results before admitting the new arrivals into the country. For many of these people, getting a COVID test in their originating countries is not difficult.
Doing the test in Dubai, you go to hospital, you do the test. It's not free, you pay. Before coming back, when you get to the airport, you do another one.
Well, I did COVID tests in US and I also paid online for COVID tests to be done in Nigeria. I think it's a good idea if everybody comply with it.
Away from the arrival hall to the departure, where many Nigerians and non-Nigerians are going through the outbound check-in procedures for their flight.
The process of the COVID test is before 72 hours from the departure, you need to go for the test. The report will come after 24 hours to you. If the report comes negative, you can ready to fly.
In Nigeria, to have a COVID test is not as easy as you think. You can go there and take a COVID test. You might not get your test result for weeks. So it's a chance that you have to take.
While private labs are mostly responsible for the test, reports arrive that getting a fake COVID test here at the international airport is as easy as ABC and will cost between 25 and 45,000 naira. Although no one was willing to share information about how this is done, the woman in charge at this terminal explains that they are not unaware of the development.
We've heard stories and we are concerned and we've investigated some. And we are trying to ensure that the right things are done. Like we said, we are not directly involved, but we work together. And when we notice anything untoward, we call the attention of Port Health to it.
Just this week, Emirates Airlines and KLM came under government spotlight for conducting COVID-19 rapid tests on passengers 4 hours prior to boarding. An industry expert connects the dots to the prevalence of fake COVID-19 results.
Then when they realize that your people keep coming up with fake COVID tests and it's affecting their people, affecting their country, the appropriate thing to do at that particular is to put additional measures.
The issue of fake COVID-19 certificates may not be limited to Nigeria, as Europol, the European Union's law enforcement agency, announced on the 1st of February that the illicit sales of fake negative COVID-19 test results are becoming more widespread as criminals look to profit from travel restrictions imposed during the pandemic. Bukola Jo-Ketumbi, Channels Television News.
Into politics now, where the President of Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has asked APC supporters across the country to embrace the spirit of unity for the success of the party and good governance. He believes that democracy is all about participation and inclusiveness, and according to him, the membership registration should be a continuous exercise so that those who attain the required age should immediately be registered. He made the call at his constituency in Gashua, Yobe State, while addressing party supporters shortly after revalidating his membership registration of the party.
This party had its first membership registration in 2014. Since then, we have so many Nigerians, millions, tens of millions of Nigerians who have come of age to join any political party of their choice. And majority of them have decided to pitch their tent with the APC. But they are not registered. This is an opportunity for them to be registered as members, bona fide members of this party. And in fact, the youth who I believe will be the majority of those that will register, will now have very critical role to play in the politics of APC and in the democratic process in Nigeria. So this is further democratizing the APC. And I believe that this exercise is an exercise that the APC should approach very, very positively.
And his counterpart in the House of Representatives, the Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, equally was also registered at his Ward G2 in Surulere local government area of Lagos. The Speaker wants members to participate more by giving ideas that are capable of improving the party.
We're in governance and we're in power. But we have to register our members to effect that number one position. So again, it's important that you all take ownership. Ownership. That is when you can have a voice. That is when you can complain. That is when you can provide ideas and solutions. You cannot provide ideas and solutions and complain to a party which you are not a member of. So I want to encourage everybody, as I have done today, as I have appended my signature, what I have done is to not only register, but to accept all the conditions, the terms, the motto, the logo, the slogan, the policies of our party. So it is a process that has started, that will continue until the day of election, and it will continue after.
When the news at 10 returns, more as the national leader of the APC talks about the position of the party's former interim national chairman on the registration of the party, plus NDLEA operatives raid hideouts of drug cartel in Edo State, intercept Indian hemp with estimated value of 1.4 billion naira. Stay with us. Welcome back. The national leader of the APC, Chief Bola Tinubu, says he endorsed the position of the party's former interim national chairman, Chief Bisi Akande, on the caretaker committee and the ongoing national registration and revalidation exercise. Chief Akande had on Thursday faulted the creation of the party's caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committees and also picked holes in the ongoing registration revalidation exercise initiated by the committee, saying that the exercise is wasteful. Chief Tinubu was registered at his Ikoyi residence in Lagos by a team of the National Registration and Revalidation Committee led by Senator Lawan Shuaibu. The APC leader was accompanied by the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the Osun State Governor, Isiaka Oyetola, who is a member of the party's caretaker committee, alongside several party leaders in Lagos State.
Since we have a foundation, and that foundation is on which the structure up to the presidency was built at the time of the registration of this party, I won't fault Baba Akande's position. I will not, but endorse it. And what we are doing now is a matter of addition and subtraction. Free entry, free exit. You've joined a particular party, you've decided to leave that party. You have equally opportunity for new members to join and update the existing register of the party. I have not heard from anybody that the register of the party submitted to INEC at the time of registration of APC has been invalidated. No. You understand me? So this is an update and revalidation of all those membership We've had various congresses. We have various exits. We've complied with the Electoral Act up till today. There's no argument about it.
Staying with the APC, the crisis rocking the Zamfara State chapter of the All Progressives Congress may be over soon, as the Senator Kabiru Marafa-led faction of the party has indicated interest to reconcile with the other faction led by the former governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari. Senator Marafa said this after a meeting which held in Kaduna State with stakeholders of his faction from across Zamfara State. To security, where 2 policemen have been killed by gunmen with 3 others injured following an attack on Obowo Divisional Police Headquarters in Obowo local government area of Imo State. It was gathered that the gunmen arrived at the Divisional Police Headquarters yesterday night in a bus, and in a bid to force their way into the police station, they were engaged in a gun battle by the officers on duty there. In the process, 2 police officers were killed and 3 others injured, while one of the attackers was also killed. The public relations officer of the Imo State Police Command, Orlando Ikoku, said the Commissioner of Police, Nasiru Muhammad, has drafted a team of detectives to the area to maintain law and order, while investigation into the incident has been launched. And armed men suspected to be herdsmen have killed a 48-year-old farmer in Akoko North West local government area of Ondo State. The late farmer, Dayo Ibie, was said to be a cousin of the senior special assistant to the Ondo State governor on new media, Gani Mohammed Ajowa. The suspects were said to have engaged Ibie in serious fights on his farm and eventually killed him. Meanwhile, the spokesperson of the Ondo State Police Command, who confirmed the incident, says the police has commenced investigations into the crime. Meanwhile, residents of K2 in Yewa North local government area of Ogun State are appealing to government and security operatives to come to their aid against what they describe as the incessant invasion from killer herdsmen. A visit to the area revealed that residents are living in palpable fear as they claim that their main economic mainstay has been plundered, leaving them in a state of penury. They are demanding that a commission of inquiry be set up to probe the activities of the criminal herders terrorizing the areas.
K2 Yewa local government area of Ogun State is an agrarian community with a vast and arable land, with over 95% of its locals engaged in agriculture. But it's been a tale of woes following alleged attacks by herdsmen who moved their hordes of cattle, ravaging farmlands and wreaking havoc within K2 Yewa communities which share borders with the Republic of Benin. According to residents, ugly stories of rape, destruction of crops and farmlands, and brutalization of farmers by the herdsmen have become the order of the day.
Those Fulanis, they gave us a lot of problems. We are tired of them. This area, we are farmers. We're supposed to be in our parents' farm now. We are unable to go there because if you go there, they will just come and meet you. We are living in fear. To sleep and rest is a problem to us.
This 50-year-old farmer who allegedly lost his father in one of the attacks has been left with bruises on his head, visible scars and broken fingers. A similar fate suffered by other farmers left with no choice but to go out and fend for themselves.
They went to my band where I store my corn and destroy my property there. Getting to the place, I see the cow eating in my presence. I called the Malam, said, Malam, come. Instead of the Malam to come, he only run to me and machete me. If not because of this hand that I used to defend, this is my head. I wanted to break it. See the sign. See my hand. How do you want me to make use of this hand again?
The situation is even more worrisome as residents also allege complicity by some security operatives who they say connive with the suspected criminals. The traditional ruler of one of the communities is calling for a commission of inquiry to address these concerns.
The governor of Ogun State should take it as a responsibility to set up an inquiry so that people can calm themselves, narrate all the ugly things they have gone through as an Ogun State indigene to the government. And the government should know what to do as a matter of urgency.
Meanwhile, the State Police Command is assuring residents that they will continue to work to put an end to the menace.
There's no reason for anybody to be apprehensive. We have enough policemen on ground there who have been keeping vigil in that place to ward off any form of violence that might want to erupt in that place. So there's no cause for alarm. The command is on top of the situation. And we are working with other sister security agencies and other critical stakeholders that has one or two things to do with security arrangements in the state.
While the crisis lingers, these residents are seeking intervention by the federal government to prevent cross-border movements of both cattle rustlers and armed herders.
Meanwhile, the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, has ordered security agencies in the state to investigate the herdsmen and farmers' crisis in the Yewa area of the state that led to the loss of life and destruction of properties. He has also set up a special task force that will maintain presence in all areas of the state prone to herders-farmers conflict to maintain peace and quickly respond to any form of violence or crimes. The governor explains in a statement that his government will immediately set up a joint security patrol team involving all security agencies in the state to not only deal with the situation, but to also nip in the bud any threats to violence or criminality. The governor who gave the order in Abeokuta at the end of the State Security Council meeting also directed that those behind the violence in Egua in Yewa North area be brought to justice. Away from the herders-farmers clashes, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in the State Command has intercepted 233,778 kilograms of cannabis sativa, also known as Indian hemp, worth 1.4 billion naira during a raid at Okpuje Onwa West local government area of Edo State. The spokesperson of the command, Mr. Mitchell Ofoyeju, also confirmed that 7 suspects said to be linked to the drug cartel in the state have been arrested. The raid was conducted alongside personnel of the Nigerian Army in the Okpuje forest.
We discovered 4 different illicit warehouses for cannabis drugs and a total of about 15,800 bags of cannabis sativa with an estimated value of about 1.4 billion naira has been, evacuated. So what we did is we evacuated the ones that we could because the quantity is massive and we have to destroy the remaining.
Let's bring you some business news. Here's Teniola Shiboale.
Thanks a lot, Millicent. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves has recorded its first weekly drop in the year. According to latest data from the central bank, the external buffer dipped by $104.79 million week to date to stand at $36.20 billion as at February the 1st, 2021. Analysts have credited the drop in the country's forex reserves to the inflow of foreign portfolio, even as oil prices are gradually picking up. Recently, the CBN announced that the external reserves rose from $34.94 billion in November 2020 to $36.23 billion as at January the 21st. Meanwhile, it was a bearish market for the Naira this week against major currencies, and at the different windows of the forex market, the local currency closed the week at 394 Naira 13 kobo against the dollar at the investors and exporters window of the forex markets, 393.65 at the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Fixing or spot market, and 477 at the BDC market. Traders credit the continued drop on the Naira to insufficient supply of the dollar to meet demand, while analysts expect the CBN to depreciate its parity with the dollar by 5.3% to 400 Naira at the interbank market and 5.1% to 415 at the INE window next week. Meanwhile, the Naira closed the week at 648 against the pound and weakened to 579 against the euro. Nigeria's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has asked the authorities to regulate activities in cryptocurrencies market within the country to prevent any abuse that may be harmful to national security. In a statement made on his Twitter handle, the former Vice President mentioned that this is definitely the wrong time to introduce policies that will restrict the inflow of capital into Nigeria. He says what Nigeria needs now, perhaps more than ever, are jobs and an opening up of our economy, especially after the National Bureau of Statistics report indicated that foreign capital inflow into Nigeria is at a 4-year low, having plummeted from $23.9 billion in 2019 to just $9.68 billion in 2020. Mr. Abubakar explained that the policy to prohibit the dealing and transaction of cryptocurrencies should be revisited in order to create jobs for the youths and expand the economy. Over to the Treasury bills market, where the overall trading session ended the week bearish. At the start of the week, the average benchmark yield fell marginally 1 basis point to settle at 0.55%. But at the close of the week, the average benchmark yields for the T-bills rose significantly by 101.92% week on week to close at 1.05%, while OMO bills also rose significantly by 81.32% to close at 1.65%. Yields for the CBN special bill was flat but closed the week at 0.52%. Trading activities at the stock market ended the second week of February in the red as profit-taking dominated the entire 5 sessions. The impact of the sell pressure affected the equities across the 5 key sectors of the NSE, in particular the insurance sector, and led to a 1.66% drop on the all-share index and the total value of listed stocks. Traders and analysts credit the sustained downturn recorded this week to the change of investment appetite by investors from the equities market to the fixed income market for higher yields after the central bank pushed the rates of the open market operation bills to double digits. Macnacles chose top out of 22 advances for the week as it posted a 43.14% gain. Linkage Assurance leads 59 other losers, down by more than 33%, while the share price of 80 equities were unchanged. Total volume of shares traded stands at 2.76 billion units, worth 29.68 billion naira, all carried out in 31,380 deals, while the shares of Union Bank, FBN Holdings and Transcorp are the top 3 contributors to the overall volume of transactions. And that's business news tonight. It's back to Millicent for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Taniola. Following the recent jailbreak in the Edo State capital, Benin City, the rate of crime in the state is set to have increased, but the police command appears to have risen to the occasion and adopted various strategies to combat the menace, including intelligence-led policing, bushcombing, engagement with community members, and increased collaboration with hunters, among others. The new Commissioner of Police in the state shared the information while speaking with journalists on the achievements recorded within the 3 weeks he has been in the state.
The new police boss in Edo State goes straight to the measures the command has adopted to tackle crime in the state.
We are going to be involved in intelligence-led policing. The command has started and will continue to work together towards boosting the morale of the personnel and improve their performance and build public confidence towards the police with a view to getting credible information and will aid policing.
As to whether the command is not overwhelmed by the scale of crime in the state, the commissioner is confident his men are capable of handling their responsibilities, but believes modern technology and equipment would aid the police in fighting crime.
If you are pursuing a suspect here, you can't get him here. In other countries, in developed society, you leave it for the person at the next junction. If that person couldn't get him, you just tell the next junction to apprehend him. So what we need is logistics and technology. With the men we have in Edo State, we can confidently and comfortably curb the crime here.
The command thereafter presents suspects arrested. This young man is alleged to have planned to attack another man whom he claimed owed him some money. He is said to have approached a gun repairer in Ubekwe-Eperi, Esako Central Local Government area of Edo State, who allegedly fabricated a gun for him.
I did not say I want to kill someone because it's only me 1.2 million. Because only them because I'm the one that taking care of my mom. So I'm not telling give me my money. It will be using cutting people to be threatening me. That's why I say, okay, let me go and let me threaten you too if you can give me the money.
This boy was directed to me. He did a barrel. And I prepared a barrel for him.
Within the 3 weeks covered under the command's record of achievements, 26 cultists were reportedly arrested with 2 cultist-sized guns. Other suspects arrested were 11 for kidnapping, 17 for armed robbery, 6 for murder, while 8 suspects reportedly died during the operation. Kidnapped victims said to have been rescued were 13, 119 ammunition, 8 locally made pistols, 27 live cartridges and 8 vehicles were among items reportedly recovered. Jessica Olubuse, Channels Television News.
Up next is sports news, and here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Millicent. Serena Williams is super confident her injured shoulder will hold up for the Australian Open, even as she resumes her quest for a record equaling 24th Grand Slam title. The 39-year-old, who opens her tournament against Laura Sigmund, won the last of her 23 majors 4 years ago at Melbourne Park when in the early stages of pregnancy. Just like LeBron, James Giannis Antetokounmpo says he also has no excitement for this year's NBA All-Star Game in Atlanta. Fresh off a 33-point, 12-rebound performance in Milwaukee's 123-105 points win at Cleveland, Antetokounmpo backed James' position on the game happening in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Other stars against the event are Brooklyn Nets star James Harden and Kawhi Leonard of the LA Clippers. A rainy forecast and fears of a COVID-19 super spreader event are not dampening the spirits of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans as their home team prepares for a historic game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Super Bowl 55 will feature legendary quarterback Tom Brady and rising star Patrick Mahomes in a duel likely to draw an audience of at least 100 million viewers. A socially distanced crowd of around 25,000 will be allowed to attend the game in a venue which normally holds around 65,000 spectators. And in the English Premier League, Ollie Watkins' second-minute goal helped Aston Villa to a 1-0 victory over Arsenal, while the Gunners suffered back-to-back defeats under their coach Mikel Arteta. Newcastle United ran 3-2 winners over Southampton as well in that game. Burnley and Brighton, who got victories over Liverpool at Anfield, had to settle for a 1-1 draw, while Manchester United and Everton slugging it out at Old Trafford with the scores staying at 3-3. And that's a wrap on Sports News. Is back to you, Millicent.
Right, thanks, Ayotunde. Myanmar's military rulers have shut down the country's internet after thousands of people joined the largest rally yet against Monday's coup in the main city, Yangon. Crowds chanted military dictator fail, democracy win. Human rights group Amnesty International has got the shutdown of the internet reckless and warns it could put the people of Myanmar at risk of human rights violations.
Chanting military dictator fell, democracy win. Thousands of people took to the streets of Yangon to protest the military takeover and demand the release of democratically elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Many wore red headbands, the color of Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy party, and raised their hands in a three-finger salute, a gesture which has become a symbol of resistance in the Southeast Asian region. Police with riot shields used barbed wire to block roads, and water cannon were put in place in some areas as a precaution. But the demonstration remained peaceful, with no attempt by protesters to pass police lines. To try and stop the demonstrations, the military leaders shut down the internet. A civil disobedience movement has been building in Myanmar all week, with doctors and teachers among those refusing to work, and every night people bang pots and pans in a show of anger. Anti-coup protests also took place in Australia, Thailand and Taiwan. The military had seized power on Monday, alleging fraud in the November election won by the National League for Democracy party, although the Electoral Commission says it has found no evidence of widespread irregularities. The military government announced a one-year state of emergency and has promised to hand over power after new elections, without giving a time frame. Aung San Suu Kyi and at least 147 people have been detained since the coup, including activists, lawmakers and officials from her government.
And the main news again. There was some drama today at the Lagos Judicial Panel of Inquiry proceedings as members were sharply divided following the ruling by the panel chairman approving the repossession of the Lekki Toll Plaza by LCC. However, some other members of the panel kicked against the ruling, insisting that there were still unanswered questions from the forensic examinations which have not been answered. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Mwoka. Have a good night.